Welcome to the Mentor Studio, where today's thought leaders and leading entrepreneurs inspire and bring real-world ideas that help you take your career to levels you've only dreamed of. Now buckle in. Here's your host, Michael Silvers.
Hi, everyone. This is Michael Silvers with the Mentor Studio. You know, it's been one of those days. It's been call after call after call. And I know for those of you who can't see, I have an amazing guest on today. And for most of you, will be listening to this anyways. You've been with us for a couple of years. We really appreciate that. If you can share us with everybody you know so they can also get that part of mentoring in their life. And I know that the extra and intro, my team always hates when I do this, but you know, it's my show and I do what I want. We have too much fun. So you could just go to www.thementorstudio.com. Join us. That would be great to have you as part of everything that we're doing. And as we know, I always have my guests earn the right because of all my years on the road with Harvecker, right? Everybody earned their right. So, and I always try not to destroy everybody's name. Now, I've done some pretty bad things in the past with some names, and I'll do my best again. And then Jennifer is going to just tell us a little bit about herself and go from there. It's a very relaxed show, as we know. Just sit back. If you're driving a car, do not close your eyes, wherever you are in the world. And again, if you listen to this in a year or two, it might not mean anything more, but it is COVID time, so you got more time. So use it productively, be out there of service, help as many people as you can, and don't become part of the problem. So with that being said, with everything out there, I'd like a big, huge introduction. It's like, here we're going on the stage to Jennifer Horspool. Jennifer, how are you?
Woo-hoo. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Michael. You know, it's funny you talk about the importance of names, and I actually do a little bit of a branding talk on my last name because Horspool is quite unique, right? And but as unique as it is, I actually Googled myself, and there's another family member that I don't know who bears my same name. And she was sort of behaving poorly, and you know, I didn't really want her name to be, you know, associated with mine. So I started putting in my middle initial, and so I'm Jennifer L Horspool. And I say it doesn't matter whether it's my middle initial or my last name. Please, God, just don't forget my L. It's my most important letter.
I like that. Right. It's how we identify ourselves. It's how we become more of who we are or how we separate from others. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer, tell us a little bit about your background and just have fun.
All right. So a couple of decades I've had experience in building brands, PR, marketing, brand experience. I've taken brands from vision or, you know, $0 all the way to multi-million dollars, one that hit $1 billion with a B in less than 3 years, which was pretty spectacular. Really, my claim to fame is in media relations, and I've taken brands that have been unknown or unliked and turn them around and refresh them into the go-to media resource so that the media is calling them for interviews, setting the stage, and actually, you know, in the plan with us and building the platform. So I've taken brands from zero media inclusion to hundreds and hundreds of articles a year, and then taught the formula to other media strategists so that they can do the same.
That's fantastic. You know, it's interesting too, because there's a lot of people who listen to these calls and they're either at the point that they have a business, but they haven't got out there on the media because they don't get it. They don't want to, right? And their team doesn't get it and know how to do it. Or you have people who are even beginning in business. And I'll tell you, the question that's going to come up is, why would I need to do that? Could you answer that?
Yes, I will. Actually, I mean, media is one of the best ways to build your credibility because you're using a platform that the interviewer, like you in this instance, already has credibility with your audience. And so every media outlet, whether it's a reporter writing articles for a newspaper or a magazine or a podcaster or a radio show host or a television show host, whatever it is, you're actually going onto their platform where they already have credibility and they're loaning you their credibility to their audience, and their audience gets to know you through their eyes. And so it could be good, could be bad. There's a level of, there is a need to be a little bit worried in media relations. You need to be smart. You know what I mean? Not all reporters are your friends, but they're not all your enemies either. They're really there to share a story, to tell a story. So it's super important that you pay attention to the platform, the actual medium of the media, right? Like, what are they trying to do? How do they entertain their viewers or their readership or their listeners? And so then how do you fit your messaging into their platform? And if it's one that is attacking or part of that shock radio or shock, whatever, just go in knowing that if you're going to go in that platform, that's the way that style goes, and you're going to have to be able to banter and play back and forth with that, or you will be attacked. So.
Right. And that's an interesting, because we work with so many people now and they all want to go virtual, and they always say, well, why don't I just use social media? Not realizing how unfriendly that is.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So social media actually changed our industry completely. So before social media, traditional media, ABC, NBC, Fox News, New York Times, were very unbiased. And it was very about sharing equal share, right? Like equal sides of the story. And then social media gave everybody a platform to create their own audience. So basically you're creating your own media channel on your media page, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, it doesn't matter. You now have the power, the same power as a media outlet, to reach out to people with your messaging. But the same as people attack media, they could and would attack you based on what your message is. So the only thing is to just be prepared for it. Don't fight with people. I mean, we all know that never ends up well. No one ever changes their mind like, thank God you came to me and I'm so enlightened. I mean, if that happens 1% of the time, that's probably a pretty high percentage. So it's really more about knowing your message, sticking to your message, and speaking directly to your very tight niche market. And don't worry about the others. If you've been able to build up a rapport strong enough with your followers, they will come to your defense. So you don't have to come to your own defense. You either can bow out, you can say gracefully, thank you for sharing your opinion, mine is different, this isn't that kind of a platform, we don't wish to argue, or you can say, okay, let's get into a healthy debate, and you can say the guidelines, no name calling, no bad words, no, you know what I'm saying? It's your media channel for you to manage how you see fit. And if somebody doesn't play nice in the sandbox, you kick them out.
Yeah, and that's, it's interesting because some people, it's like going on stage and having somebody heckle you, or going on stage and the person in front of you, falls asleep and they start to snore, or, being in front of a camera and the cameraman looks bored out of their mind, which you might be the 500th shot to, whatever that is. I think there is that part of, it's a great point you brought up, because for those of you who want to podcast, for those of you who really want to be out there in entertainment and really drive your messages forward, coaches, mentors, whatever you want to do in your life, business owners, look, if you own a brick and mortar store and the person comes in and says, I don't like your brick, do you shut your doors? You take a look at it, maybe there's something you can always change, but it's not personal. And I think you made a great point there, because there's a tendency of when you're new out there that you take everything personally. I always say to somebody, go try out for 10 roles in Hollywood and you'll see what personal is.
Yeah,
but, right?
It's not ever personal. I mean, you don't know what people are going through in their lifetime. They might have it's like the kick the dog syndrome, right? Like your boss kicked you, so you kicked your employee, they go home and they kick their dog. You know what I mean? Like, please don't ever kick your dog. But I'm very much a dog person.
That's a disclaimer, people.
But it's the stuff rolls downhill. And so somebody might be having a bad day, and that's the only level of outlet they have, is to yell at a stranger on social media. And some people, you can tell, just thrive at it, and they're so proud of themselves for what a jerk they've been to a complete stranger. And it's like, are those really the people you want to associate with anyway? No, move on. Ask, if you're really under attack, ask your personal followers to go in and say, hey, can you comment on this? Can you help me position my position? Or, you know what I mean? Or just let it go, because water off a duck's back and move on and speak to your niche, because your niche is always listening. They always love you. And if they're telling you that something is off and something is wrong, then you might want to reconsider it. You know what I mean? And think about, do I need to pay attention to something? Do I need to change something? Have I been a little off-putting? Do I need to re-educate myself? Is there something new out there for me to know? Never be above learning. Like, we all are, information is always coming at us. And like, you know, the follow the science is such a big term right now, right? All about the science. Well, science is only as intelligent as the most recent discoveries that we have. It's an art form. It's not a mathematical equation, you know? It's what do we know right now, and how do we deduce that into an intelligent level of comprehension? And then that is the level of science that we know to this day. And I've spent my career in bringing drugs to market and science and everything else, so I'm well aware. If you remember, the hypothesis is originally to prove that something is not true.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And that's actually a great point. So this is, you know, it's such an important piece. And that's why we tell people too, within this industry or all these industries, work on yourself. Right. And so something has always gotten us to where we are. And I talked about this on one of the shows that we used to talk about, you know, for a lot of us in personal development, it's Think and Grow Rich. Everybody mentions, right, Think and Grow Rich. Right. And obviously we've had a big loss within the industry. You know, Mr. Bernie Dorman has passed away. Right. So we all send love to his family. We will forever. But the biggest piece too, and I find now is, especially when I interview younger, it's off YouTube. They're getting their latest, greatest, my grandkids, it's unspeakable, or Preston Blaze with Minecraft. You know, that's really where they're getting the wow, look what they're doing. Look at the business they built. How are they doing it? Look at their mindset. It's a different world. Or podcasts. That's right. Really the next up and comer. Where, you know, we'll go back just a couple of years, but what did you originally read that started to move you in this direction of doing the thing that, from my perspective, you love?
It is what I love. I love helping entrepreneurs. Really is my newest focus. I've been working with large companies, Fortune 15s like McKesson Corporation, Xerox, Pepsi Bottling Group, you know, and then I've worked with US Oncology and some mid-levels, and I've worked with, you know, all the way from startups. The whole thing has changed, like it's tremendous. But I mean, I love doing this. I got into it. I think probably the book that was the most enlightening to me was Tom Brokaw, The Greatest Generation. And I read it years ago. And the reason it's so impactful to me is because it's actually, I keep talking about it right now because it's so relevant in today's world. I started talking about it in like 2008 when we had the crash, and I was like, now is the time to innovate. You know, when everything looks like the world is imploding and there's not going to be any jobs, that means it's time to create something new. And we did, right? Social media just like exploded the whole entire,
yes,
everything is different. And so now here we are again, and it's like the same as during the Great Depression, where there were more millionaires made during the time of the Great Depression than any other time in history. And we're seeing the same thing again right now, where the common man has no job, or is getting furloughed, or has been laid off, or, you know, whatever, any number of things, or just isn't even able to go to work at all. And
right.
Billionaires are getting richer. So now is the time to innovate. And you think back to Tom Brokaw, he told the story. That's how Scrabble came about. That's how Monopoly came about. That's how Little League is one of my favorite stories, because it literally was all these dads and their boys were home for the first time. So they're playing street ball, and then they got this neighborhood to play against that neighborhood.
Right.
Was born. I mean, it's really spectacular. And then what can you do in the kitchen? The chocolate chip cookie was born out of the Great Depression. Who knew? Right.
It is and how it's that mindset piece though. It's the keeping because back in 2008, boy, we knew a lot of people who went underwater, and you know what? They came back like Phoenix Rising within a year, because, you know, I've done it once, I'll do it again.
Right.
Or they, the some that, went to some seminars and had a gentleman stand up in front going, move everything to cash right now. And the
Right.
ones who did, survived through it in a different way. But it's not about surviving, right? Never just survive through it.
Right.
You have to rise up and be that next. And sometimes it's not easy. And I know people right now are burying their heads and they're scared, and that's okay. But then what are you going to do after that? How are you going to get yourself in front of the right type of people? And this question is always, and this is the classic podcast question, but it's one of my favorites still. But is it different now? And the question always is, if you were to start again, what are 3 things that you would do right now to start a business? Whether it's, whatever. But with the world the way it's just changed a little bit, because part of I would have said get on the stages, and they will be back. So can you talk about that a little bit, and what advice you would give our audience, and 3 things they potentially could even use right now?
Right. I mean, really delve in deep into who you are. I truly believe, like, my why is I believe that all the ills of the world are answered in the dreams inside of our heads. I mean, those repetitive thoughts, the repetitive dreams, the thing that's nagging at you, it's there for a reason. You can bring excellence to this world. We are all unique in the same way. Does that make any sense?
It does, completely.
We are. We all have a gift to bring. And just because, like, you never hear a doctor graduating from medical school saying, oh my God, how am I going to ever have business? There are already 50 million doctors in the world.
Right.
No, they go and they get their bricks and mortar and they open up their business and they do their job. And that's because everybody is always looking for somebody who offers what you have to help. And there's 8 million people in this world. You don't have to help all 8 million of them, right?
Yeah. No,
billion.
You don't.
I'm sorry, billion with a B.
Yeah.
Like 8 million, they live here in Orange County. But you only need, a certain number of people that you help every year, every month, every week. Break it down backwards. And then think about, what do you have to offer? How can you offer it and monetize it, right?
Right.
And then
That's right.
How do you go to market? And you basically need to build your brand. So it's relationship building. You're sharing your expertise. And then the more you share and the more conversations you lead and the more commentary you make on other people's platforms that are having the same kinds of conversations, the more your brand is elevated as an expert in the area. You can be controversial, you can be confirming, you can add new information. There's all kinds of ways, you can talk about something from a different angle. Like you talked about, it's okay that you're in fear right now. And it is, but then get past it and move on with life, because if you live in fear, the depression has won. You're not winning at life if you're sitting there hiding and hibernating. The world is still happening whether you get out of bed or not. So you might as well get up off the couch, put on your clothes, and go outside. Just that energy of outside. I don't care if it's your backyard, if it's your front yard, you go for a walk, you go to a park. If you don't live in a safe area, go somewhere else that is safe and get outside and get grounded and get right with God or the world or the spirit or universe or your higher self or whatever you want to call it. But sit there and think about, what are the natural gifts that you have? What are your superpowers? Like, my superpower is I understand the way people think.
Mm-hmm.
I can cover a good broad range, but then I always have these people in their pure left brainers over here that come in out of left field and throw something at me that I never even intended, and that I know they exist. So I seek out people that can help me complete that full circle. And then that way I consider myself that much smarter. And because then I can know when I'm speaking that I'm still only going to be able to cover a good 3/4 of a topic. And there's going to be a 1/4 of the topic that I personally will never be able to hit because my brain doesn't work that way. So I invite those people in for conversation. And that's how you get real, full, unbiased, full look at something.
That's amazing. I have nothing to plus on that one at all. So everybody out there, my challenge to you is to take this information now, and Jennifer gave you tidbits you can use right now. And I think that's an incredible piece, because it's not about, well, I'll think about it. right? And I'll get to it 6 months or a year. It's like people who build courses, and I'm like, why are you waiting 6 months to build? You haven't even sold it yet. We don't know if anybody wants it. But it's the kind of thing where you get into action now. And there was just today, and again, this won't make any difference 2 years from now, right? But I saw, even up here in Washington, we heard what Gavin Newsom did, and so I've got some calls and people are like, oh, here we go. No. We never go and do what we did before. Mm-hmm. Right? It's always, what am I going to do now? So you know what? Right. You'll have to just take out food again, whatever that is.
Right.
But keep moving forward and realize that there are people in trauma right now. So tell me how you can assist them, right?
How I can assist. I turn people into the go-to experts in their industry. I teach you how to be seen, known, and respected for what you do best, your expertise. And so basically I start with, how do you want to be known? You know what I mean? How do you want people to see you? What do you want to be known for? And then we talk about, what are your messages? What's your hook? What's interesting? What's shocking? What's new? What's different? Really think about that. What is your message that you need to carry forth with? I'm very big on building the foundation of your business from your mission, your vision, and your values. Your vision is your why. Your V is your why. People confuse it all the time, and they always think their mission is their why. Their mission is their what you do to realize your why, or to make your why or your vision a reality. Your mission delivers your vision. Your values are your bumper guards or your business guidelines that tell you how you do business and how you don't do business, right? What you stand for and what you stand against. And when your vision and your mission and your values are so strong, your employees know where you're headed, you know where you're headed, and it's like a sail ship. You're not always heading due north. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to go all the way due east, a couple of miles before you can go north again. It's just like sailing. You're going to weave and you're going to flow and you're going to have hiccups, but you always keep the same point of focus, and then you can get there. So know who you want to be, how you want to be known, who your target audience is. Who cares? Who cares? And then so what? So how do you want to be known? Who cares? So what? And then make it happen, right? There is a so what to everything. And think about it. Well, who cares? So what? Well, because of this. Because of my vision. I have to create this vision so we have a world. My vision is people helping people in business. I love people. I hated when people told me that I wasn't allowed to say that in interviews when I was in college. They were like, don't say you went into PR because you love people. I'm like, well, that's not why I went into PR, but I do love people. I went into PR because I love stories. Yeah. Stories change the world.
It is so true. It is that great factor. And it's funny because, for me being a complete introvert, actually I really am. I mean, quiet.
I would never know that.
I know. But you put me on a stage, or, it's the transformation. It's that piece, or in a room, but basically if I'm home for a week and nobody else is around and some wife's there and grandkids and everybody, I'm a happy camper.
Nice.
But it's that kind of thing where you do find the thing that you love to do, but that why is so critical. And I know people go, oh my God, they're talking about the why again, right? They're talking, but because everybody wants to move to strategy. They want to get into that what part right away.
They're stuck in how. Yeah.
They're stuck. Yep. It happens all the time. And we'll have to do a whole show on that one day. Actually, that would be a fascinating.
It's the strongest thing, because everybody, they go, okay, I have my why. I'm like, you don't have your why. If you're stuck in your how, you don't have your why, because how happens. How makes itself happen. You got to create your plan, be strategic. Don't worry so much about the how as worry about the why. Is it necessary? Who do you need to join your team to make it necessary? It doesn't mean you have to pay everybody. It's not about having employees. It's about having collaborators who believe in the same thing and want to create the same thing you want to create. That's how I got involved with you and Bill Walsh and everybody else. You guys want to change the world for the better, and I want to be part of that.
Yeah, and it is really about changing the world and making a difference. So And so everybody, if you listen to this show, you can go to www.thementorstudio.com. The full transcript will be on there, and there'll be a way to connect with Jennifer. But Jennifer, for those that are listening and are never going to read anything in their life, what's a really simple way to connect with you?
Jennifer at engagementpr.com. You can email me or connect me on LinkedIn. I am Jennifer L Horspool. Please do not forget my L. Middle name, last name, put that L on there. It's super important.
I love it. I love it. You know, and for the audience that's driving along going, Horspool, why don't you go ahead and spell it out for them?
It has no E. So it's HORS as in Sam. And then we skip to the P as in Peter, OOL. Horspool, like a horse and a pool, but no swimming, no E in my horse.
I love it. You do really well that way. You are so great. You know, Jennifer, thank you for being on. And by the way, audience, I just pinged her, I don't even know, just a couple of days ago. Who knows anymore? And Jennifer said, I'm on. I'll be you're a team player. You're always there. You're jumping. You're ready to go. You know, we're all at home just having fun right now, doing the things we need to do. For those of you who are essential workers out there, you know, we send our prayers and love to all of you who are, you know, and people are starting to get back moving again. So it's good to see. And just, you know, be part of the solution again. I was talking to somebody from Melbourne the other day, and he said, how come you guys just can't wear a mask? So, you know, do whatever it takes, wear a mask. Yes, I'm going to get probably comments from that, but, and just realize it's not about you, it's about the world around you, and we got to play this together. Jennifer, any last comments before we take off?
Just, I want people to really like own who you want to be, how you want to be known. And from there, a lot of things can fall into place.
Oh, this has just been great. Well, for myself in the Mentor Studio, and by the way, for those of you, you can go to the Mentor Studio YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. But really, you know, the other thing too is we're always looking for great thoughts and ideas. So if you're a great speaker, trainer, facilitator, coach, lived a life, have something to share, I'm always willing to listen to that and see if it would just be perfect for the show. And just, you can go ahead and contact us through the Mentor Studio. For myself in the Mentor Studio and Jennifer Horspool, Jennifer L Horspool.
Thank you.
Did I get that?
Yeah, you did.
Thank you much. That's good, huh? I want to thank
everybody
for being on today. Wherever you are in the world, morning, afternoon, or evening, if you're driving in your car, no closing your eyes during any of our processes. And wanted to thank you all for being on. Have a great, blessed day, and I'll talk to everybody very soon. Jennifer, you were awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. You are fantastic. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We're honored that you invested time with us today at the Mentor Studio. Now, don't be greedy. Share this knowledge bomb with all your dope peeps on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Actually, we'll even pay you to do it. To get the deets, please check out thementorstudio.com.